Hey folks, we are going to be doing 3 videos about assessing whether or not your ad's working. The first video is looking at it on the Facebook side. So once you made your ad, kind of want to just go for the first 24 hours. It's going to take a bit to go live, and initially Facebook's going to be throwing spaghetti at the wall, trying to see who to show the ad to. The numbers at the very beginning can be crazy. So we don't look at our ad for 24 hours, and then we look at it and we're just looking to see, make sure that the numbers look decent. They will improve over the next few days. However, there aren't that many numbers that we need to look at. In fact, I have found that 99% of what you need to know about a Facebook ad can be determined by 2 numbers. And remember, I'm going to talk about sort of like what the ideals for these numbers should be. But do remember, on the first 24 hours, very rarely will an ad be at those ideal numbers. It will get there over the next 3 to 5 days. And then you'll be wanting to monitor it in an ongoing way to make sure it sort of stays in a good range for these 2 numbers that are super easy to check. First one, cost per result. Cost per result for traffic ads is synonymous with cost per click. And ideally, it should be under 30 cents per click, but a great cost per result is going to be under 20 cents per click, and you can even get them down below 10 cents per click, depending on the genre and the time of year and stuff like that. Right now, leading up to Christmas, ads are a lot more expensive. We just came out of what was probably the most expensive 2 weeks for ads as I'm filming this, which is the American Thanksgiving week. But now, as we approach Christmas, currently ads are still going to be somewhat more expensive. Cheap times for ads are usually January and then like September, October. Um, Other times of years kind of vary, but so be aware that there are trends. There are macro trends in ads that go beyond your personal performance. Just because costs go up doesn't mean you did a bad job. It just could be the time of year. So, but we are really looking, we still kind of want to keep them under 30 cents per click. Above that, unless you've got like a super long series with really good read through, it can be hard to be profitable with ads. So the lower, the better. So long as you're properly representing as a book. Back when we did the creative, remember I talked about if I had an ad that just said click here for a free pony, I get tons of clicks and it would be cheap. But that's not going to sell me a lot of books. So a good priced ad and a screaming book is what you're really looking for. And you can see here on this example that this is a dark romance novel that we ran some ads for. It's one of Jill's, and 7 cents per click. Super cheap, worked great, and wasn't super expensive. And it was also October. The same ad now would probably be twice as much money to run. All right, our second metric is result rate. Result rate is the percentage of people who saw the ad and then clicked. Here, it's the higher, the better. Most books should be able to get a result rate of 4% for a traffic ad, and then romances will probably have a result rate of over 10% a lot of times, especially like steamy, dark romances. Um, Come on, there we go. So we can see here this book has a result rate of 12%. A lot of my science fiction novels, which are, hard military science fiction with female leads and everybody's gay. So I kind of like wrote sci-fi on hard mode. Those are like 3%. You remember I mentioned they should probably be over 4? I have 120 books in the same universe, so I can kind of get away with having a slightly lower result rate. Also, I've been advertising these books to the same audience for a decade. So I've sort of like plucked all the low-hanging fruit. So my result rate is a bit lower. And that's something that authors who've been advertising for a long time will see. It gets harder and harder to get good result rates in your ads because so many people have seen it. They're your readers and they've already clicked. So they don't click again. And you're just kind of like, thank you for not clicking again because I need to find some new people. Um, so that's a totally normal number to get. But the other thing that result rate will tell us is how much longevity our ad has going for it. So it's a measure of whether or not it's basically is the ad serving to the right people and how much they like it. But the bigger the result rate, that means the more of the right people there are. So chances are the ad can run longer, or perhaps you can increase the spend. The lower the result rate means probably you have to keep the spend low, can't scale too much, and it may die off sooner than if it had a higher result rate. How to turn on result rate is good because for you to know because it's not there by default. You have this columns button here, and by default, it's going to say columns performance, not columns mal. If you click on that, you can actually see performance there is one of the default options. You can scroll down and choose customize columns. In here, result rate will be a thing that you can turn on. It may not be in this top box. If not, you can just search for it by typing it in here. Result rate, there it is. And then you can also, on the right-hand side, you can even organize the order your columns are in. I like to keep my result rate pretty close to my cost per result because these, again, are the two numbers that matter the most. And then because I already have a preset, I have an option to delete it. If you've never made a preset, there'll be an option to save it. And then you never have to do this step again. You might be saying, Mal, why do you have all the other columns turned on that you don't talk about? And that's because some of them are for direct sales, when I do direct sales ads, which in the case of traffic ads, you don't need to worry about. So that's it for result rate and cost per click. And those are the things you need to look at on the Facebook ad side. Again, at the very beginning of your ads run period, you're kind of just looking for them to be like in the ballpark. And then around day 3 and then day 5, you'll check them again, make sure the numbers are getting better. How do you know the numbers are getting better? Well, you click on charts, and charts will give you a per link click option. Unfortunately, there's no result rate option here. And you're going to want to look for this number kind of like stabilizing or not getting too high kind of thing. We ran this ad just for a couple of weeks and only got up to 8 cents per click. Fabulous. Really good. There is unfortunately no graph for result rate. Click-through rate is similar to result rate. So you can kind of use it to sort of see like, it's measuring the same thing. It just ends up providing a different number. So you can be like, okay, the click-through rate's going down. Therefore, people might not be liking it quite as much as they did before. Keep in mind, these numbers here, the graphic is wrong. This would be 15%, this would be 10%, this would be 5%. So still very good numbers. And you can see like it was 14% here, 12% on the graph page. So it's basically like 10% over is the click-through over result rate. Like I said, they measure a very similar thing, but you'll notice the click-through rate says all, and that means like any click, like to your profile page on someone else's comment, all sorts of clicks get counted there, whereas result rate is just people going to the page to buy the book. So that's why it's the one that we care about more. It's also why this one's a little bit higher. But you can use these graphs to see where the trends are going. So if on day 1 you had a cost per click that was like 40 cents, and you're like, oh my God, this is terrible. But on day 3, it's 30%. Well, if you look at the graph, you might realize that 30% was the average, and now it's actually down 20, and it's fine. So do check the graphs. All right, next up, we're going to be going to the Amazon attribution system to see how things look there and get our other 2 numbers that we have to look at.